Hello, everybody, and welcome to the update for Tropical Depression Cristobal. Um, it is 11:14 a.m. of the time that I'm recording this right now, and the new advisory just came out about 20 minutes ago, give or take, and it's still keeping on to the 35 mile per hour winds, which is actually amazing considering it's been over land for 36 or more hours. Um, I knew that it was going to weaken from a tropical storm. That I do know, but I did not expect this to remain a tropical depression for this long and still maintain the 35 mile per hour winds. The pressure is still the same from the last advisory. It's still 1,000 millibars. The location is 20.0 north and 89.9 west, and it's now moving at a really good clip at 12 miles an hour to the north. And here's the what's new here. Storm surge and tropical storm watch is issued for portions of the northern Gulf of Mexico coast. So we now officially have watches in effect for like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, coastlines. Let's take a look at the public advisory number 16 here. It is moving directly north. It's moving directly north at 360 degrees at 12 miles an hour. And here's your storm surge watch from Indian Pass to Arpica, Florida. Grand Isle, stuff like that. And the tropical storm watches in our coastal city, Louisiana, to Alabama, Florida border. So it's starting to get real out there again. It's forecasting the strength for the next 48 hours. Though what I do not agree on is the center coming off of the Yucatan in the evening hours. I think it's moving too fast now, and it'll be more like 2 to 4 hours that the center will probably come off the coast of the Yucatan. Alright, here is the expected storm surge areas. These areas 1 to 3, 2 to 4, 2 to 4, 1 to 3. So, despite it not being a hurricane, there's still going to be some very dangerous situations going on in some areas. So you need to pay really close attention to what's going on here. Alright. Rainfall from this could reach up to 12 inches or a foot in some locations on the Gulf Coast. So not only will you have the storm surge and the winds, but you will also have the flooding as well. This is something to take very seriously right now, as we don't this storm has been very unpredictable at times at this point, that we could actually see Category 1 hurricane. We don't know yet. We could have a lesser storm, be like 50 miles an hour. We just don't know. It could go through a intense intensification process because the ocean heat content is there is some ocean heat content in the Gulf of Mexico for that to be possible. We don't know yet. We gotta wait for all the specifics to start coming into place to know how much it's gonna strengthen once it gets out over to the Gulf of Mexico. And now that we got watches out, we're gonna start getting intermediate advisories every 3 hours. Or I'm just gonna say new advisories because that's what they are. We're gonna get new advisories every 3 hours. So the next one is at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and the next complete advisory is at 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All right, forecast discussion. As you see, get all your basic information and then the keys to the game, so to speak. And they're still staying persistent with the forecast guidance intensity here. Still having it about 60 miles an hour. Now between 48 and 60, 12-hour period, it may get up to 65 or 70 miles an hour before going on the coast. That's why I am not ruling out the possibility of a Cat 1 75-mile-per-hour storm here. We just don't know what's going to happen in between 48 and 60. You know, that's why you gotta stay vigilant and pay attention to what's going on here. Let's take a look at the forecast tone. And as you can see, there is watches right here for some of the Gulf Coast, and we got a tropical storm watch here for the eastern Yucatan. And as you can see, the cone has not changed at all, really, in the last like few days. It's still wanting to take it right into central Louisiana, so that looks to be ground zero here for this system. And it looks like 7 p.m. Sunday is when it's going to be making its closest approach to making landfall in Louisiana. Alright, let's take a look at the positions and all of the models here for what they think might happen with the system. As you can see, here is the area of circulation right in here where the L is. From here to here, that's not a very far distance. What is that, maybe like 50, 60 miles? Maybe less? So yeah, that's why I think in the next like 3-4 hours, we're gonna have this getting back over water here. And it may go back to being a tropical storm later on tonight as it drifts northward. What about the forecast intensities here? Alright, as you can see, none of these take this up to hurricane status. All of them pretty much go into tropical storm status, so that's going to be what's going to be happening here 100%. As you can see, like after the 60-hour mark, it all goes downhill. So once it gets out over water, it will only have about 48 to 60 hours to really do something with itself. Here is a look at the GFS models, and as you can see, there's a system right in there, but GFS is wrong on this one. It's more like in here. And let's go out through time and see what happens with this. As you can see, the GFS, it goes a little more northeast than north for 18 hours, and then it makes the bend back to the north and west, and it shows it becoming a hurricane as it hits the Louisiana coast. So that's pretty interesting to see. That's why I've not taken off the possibility of this becoming a hurricane, and I probably won't be taking it off the tables until I see something really drastic happen with this. And as you can see, it goes inland, and it really just keeps the winds going for a long period of time until it is absorbed by a frontal system and just takes it away. Alright, what does the European tell us here? Alright, there's our system. There's no pressure gradient on it, so from the European perspective, it's not looking good. Alright, at least to the European. But it makes it come back pretty good. 998, that's definitely a tropical storm. And a 993, as this makes its closest approach to New Orleans, Louisiana, European might show up as a hurricane as well. Once again, it just depends on how much the dry air gets into it and what the wind shear is. And as you can see, this one lasts a pretty long time inland as well. The Canadian model here. You know, for some reason, the Canadian model shows it already back over water, but that's certainly not true at the moment. So, the Canadian model doesn't show it as too much of anything, like a weak to moderate tropical storm as it makes landfall in New Orleans. So, yeah, that pretty much has this dying out pretty quickly. And it'll just turn into your typical everyday showers and thunderstorm activity for Arkansas, you know, Missouri and the likes before it gets pulled into a front. Here is the infamous icon model, and as you know, oh, it's this is updating, so this is good. This is new information here. Here it is, right here in the middle of the Yucatan Peninsula here, and we're gonna go out through time here. Yeah, so at like the 63-hour mark, this has it making landfall in western Louisiana here. So, and you know, this is the consistent thing. It's always been Louisiana since the day it formed. Always Louisiana, which is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. That it have the models this consistent on a place of landfall. I have never seen that before, and if I have, it's not often that the models stay consistent about what it wants to do with the storm. That tells me that the models and the technology is advancing every season we go forward, and which is good, because you know we always need consistency in our lives, right? And I think we're finally starting to get that with these forecast models and stuff. And Icon has it pretty strong going inland, and that's as far as I can take it because it's not done rendering yet. Alright, we're gonna take a look at the wind shears here, and you can tell where our system is. It's like right in here, and as you can see, it's right in the middle of favorable and natural wind shears here, which is which green is, as you guys know, green is for go, yellow is for slow down. I mean, it's slow wind shears here, and then red means stop. So if a storm moves into these red wind shear factors, then it's gonna just blow it all away, and that's not healthy for storms. We need green and yellows to really have storms really thrive in this situation. And as you can see here, you know, a pretty interesting thing here is you can see these making wind shears are making an alleyway for this thing to really go into, and that's why I think wind shear isn't going to be too much of a factor for this. 20 to 25 knots is acceptable, but once you get past 25 knots, that's when these systems are gonna start blowing their cloud tops away with the wind, with what direction the wind is coming. So I think we're gonna see a pretty favorable condition here for this storm to really thrive when it comes to wind shear. All right, here is the look at the water temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, Bay, Campeche. And as you can see, we got some pretty warm waters here. We're definitely in the 80s everywhere in the Gulf of Mexico. We got some 84s down here. Yeah, it's pretty much low to mid 80s everywhere in the Gulf of Mexico. So this storm is definitely going to thrive on those warm water temperatures. It just depends on how far down those water temperatures are, because, you know, upwelling is a thing. And if a storm stays over one area for too long, that will upwell the colder waters from the bottom of the ocean onto the surface. So, you know, we just have to see how far these go down. But these water temperatures are definitely enough to sustain a hurricane if this decides to want to do that. Oh, and speaking of ocean heat content, here we go. As you can see right in here, this is where it's going to be traveling, right in here. And there is some ocean heat content here where it is going to be going. So, I mean, it's not like it's void of any upper ocean heat content, because, you know, as we go on through the next couple of days, I'm sure these areas will start to extend a little bit up to where the storm is going to be going. So this is why, once again, this is why I'm not taking it off the table of a Category 1 happening, you know, with this system. We always got to leave the possibilities on the table. You know what I mean? But I'm going to take a look at other ocean heat content places here. And as you can see, man, this Caribbean is looking pretty darn toasty. These upper ocean heat contents are really getting it out here. And this is only the 5th day of June, so this is kind of worrying. You know, as we go forward, you know, the water temperatures are only going to get hotter. So that means it only makes sense that the upper ocean heat content gets hotter. You know what I mean? As again, this is what it is. Like, this is ocean water with depth, not only at the surface, but maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 meters down. This is where the ocean heat content is coming from to really help these storms. Alright, we're going to look at the rainfall totals for Cristobal here. And as you can see, you know, we got some 5 to 7 inches here in Louisiana, Mississippi, little tiny bits of parts of Alabama, while most of Florida is in the 2 to 5 inches range here. So, you know, no matter where this goes, anywhere from the center eastward is going to be feeling plenty of effects from this system, just because it's asymmetrical in looks. So that means all the convection is blowing off towards the east of the system. So that's why, you know, far from the center, we could be seeing tropical storm force winds even in Florida here as time goes by. And here is a look at the hold on one moment. We're going to look at this right here. And as you can see, the rich moisture field here is just really outstanding. This is all the way at the tip of the scale here, right at the end here. So there's a lot of moisture being pulled into the system here for this to really thrive. And when I made my update last night, it looked like this was farther east too. This dry air was farther east, but now it looks like it evaded a little bit more to the west. So, you know, the dry air could still probably be a problem, but not today. Probably will not be a problem today, as this will move back out into the Gulf of Mexico and just really start to just strengthen pretty good if this dry air stays to the west like it showed here, because that's a pretty big movement back to the west. And that's why I think these systems or the whole weather pattern in general is unpredictable. You just don't know what's going to happen with them. But yeah, anyways, this is my 11 a.m. update. I will have another update at 11 p.m. tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.